to the Group X podcast. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's going to be,
Thank you.
I think, some good laughs along the way.
Definitely. And thank you for saying yes, too, when I reached out. I've greatly appreciated it. I know it's taken us a bit of time to get it all together, with me heading into hospital for a hip replacement and carking it on in recovery for 30 seconds and flatlining, but they brought me back and can't stop me. So I'm grateful that you're still here and want to have a chat to me as well.
Good on you for getting that done. That's a massive operation.
Yeah, that's the second one, actually, sadly enough. I did the first one. Yeah, the bionic man now. Got two of them ready to rock and roll.
So yeah, high knee in like 7 days then?
Yeah, watch out. Let's kick this off then. How did you get into the fitness industry? I mean, where does it all begin for you?
It began for me in my last year of high school. I really enjoyed PE, but I was really just like a lost cause at high school except for PE. And then the last year I thought, I got to get myself together. I've got to do something, good by the end of it instead of just playing sports. So I really, what sparked it was we did this. So I went to Lincoln High School in the South Island in Christchurch, and we did this physical education module at Lincoln University in the gym there, like an actual fitness center. And we got to spend like 6 to 8 weeks there. And that was really the start of, like fitness for me. And I really got into it, although I grew up mainly on a military base.
Oh, wow.
So I would always go to the gymnasium, and I went into the circuit training with the military, with my stepfather and the military people, and then I'd go into the gym, and then I made friends, and this lady would just say, "You want to come and train with me?" And then it ended up at my last year of high school, and then I started taking myself there, and I thought, maybe this could be what I'm going to learn afterwards to get into it. And so as a really probably quite a young, maybe unconfident woman, it was really a place for me to kind of just start to grow confidence about myself. And so I thought, I really want to try to make this a profession somehow. And so I went and studied sport fitness and leadership, and then went in to use that as a stepping stone to get an exercise science degree on the back of it.
Yeah.
So that was where fitness really started. And so I really wanted to, it really started in the weight room for me.
Yep.
And I wanted to be able to show other people that they could, be fitter and healthier. And so it really was just like I'm going to do this. Yep. And then I've done that for 23 years. So that was the start.
Excellent. Yeah. I love that. I love there's so many different stories from people on where their beginnings are. And yours is very similar to mine, when I walked into a gym doing weights. It was back, I don't know how old you are. We won't go into that right now. But back in the 90s when I was at high school, you'd go and do gym for sport and that kind of stuff. And we saw, I remember seeing in the group exercise space, the predominantly ladies doing, their group exercise stuff in their leotards and, all of that stuff that was going on back in the 90s. But as a boy, as blokes, we were in the gym area, and that's where I think the bug sort of started, even though it took me another probably 10 years after that to really to find the gym again and get back into it. But it's that from a young age, getting that little bit of exposure to doing something where it does sort of set some foundations for you to go, hey, this is where it can all start. This is fitness. This is my base level of learning about me, about my body, but about me as a human as well, and understanding, okay, there's something here.
I know. It was, I really spent a lot of time on the sports field. I started playing rugby when I was 5 or maybe, and, on the bare pitch of New Zealand, bare feet, little t-shirt, short, just running around.
Yeah.
And so that was, I played that for a long time, right up until university, and basketball. And so, sports was huge, but then it was like the combination of going into the gym, and I was like, man, I'm not even really that fit. I'd get on the treadmill and I'd start running and I'd be, man, this is so hard. And then, I'd do the weights and I'd make my mum. I was like, Mum, give me your car every day after school. Give me your car.
Yep.
I'm going. And it was just like, that was the year of transformation
Yep.
for me. And I just kind of just put my head down, got bursary PE. And I remember the guy only let me into the course because I played A-grade tennis. I thought, oh, he just gave me a shot, right? But that was really the foot in the door for my education to really just go, you have got a brain, let's use it, and let's see where this goes.
So you started doing PT as your first thing before progressing into group exercise?
Yeah. So I had never seen Les Mills before, right?
Oh, wow.
So I did even when I went and did my exercise science degree, I did it in the North Island. I still hadn't seen group fitness. I was at the university gym and I saw the classes going on, right? So I finished my degree really just to become a personal trainer.
Yep.
And so it took me a while to get a job. I think I didn't even get a job at the first Les Mills that I tried. They denied me. And then I went to, and then
personal training.
They denied me. Yeah, they denied. They said no. And then I went to Christchurch, back where I grew up, and that was like Maureen Baker's gym, right? And I got my first gym job there on the gym floor, and I just stayed there, and that's when I got exposed to. I did my first group fitness class. I remember I did RPM, then I went back and I was like, oh, what was that? I was just like gassed, but I loved it, right? Because I love music.
Yep.
And really, but my sole purpose was to become a personal trainer. That's what I wanted to do. But then I saw group fitness and then I just had this epiphany. I was like, if I can do both, I can sell my personal training.
Oh, to the God, people. I love hearing that.
And so I was just like, I can say I'm a personal trainer to like 50 to 100 people in one go. And then, but it was really, even though that was my mind, I still had to get over the hurdle of getting up in front of people and teaching what everybody goes through, right?
Yep.
But it was just the best thing for my business because my clients got to come to my classes to see me for free. And then we had sessions and it was, for 5 years, I built this amazing business, even though it took me quite a long time to like get the confidence to become the trainer.
Yep.
I stayed a lot on the gym floor and I had this amazing mentor called Jean Scott. And, to this day, I credit her for making me an amazing trainer, but also an amazing group fitness instructor because she was and she still to this day personal trains and is amazing at it.
Yep.
But she also taught me how to teach RPM. She was a trainer back then. Yep. And then she taught me how to do pump. She just kind of just took me under her wing. And she's just like, she epitomized what professionalism was. And so every session was awesome. Every class was the best that she could, but the way she looked after her clients. So I was just really lucky to start with her. And she's the one who gave me the job.
Yep.
She hired me.
A huge shout out to G then.
I know. And I talk about her to this day because I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
And really a lot of the stuff that I do, she taught me that. You know, so the success, the way that you look after people and the experience that you want to give them is because she just raised that bar so high that if you wanted to be with her, you had to fly that high too, right? You had to level up to her and she'd just tell you straight. She'd be like, no, you just can't do that.
Yeah. I love that. Good. That's so much respect. I've not met Jean, obviously, but I have so much respect. That is just that's the way it's meant to be done, isn't it? That's, set the standard high. If you're going to be a PT, if you're going to do anything in the industry, do it to the best. Don't just half-ass it.
Yeah.
You're going to half-ass it. Get out. Don't bother. And no, you touched on something there, which I've been a strong believer of since the day I walked into the industry. To grow your PT business, you need to do group exercise. As you said, you're in front of 30, 40, 50 people hey guys, I'm a PT as well. Or they just find out that, oh, hang on a second, my instructor is also doing stuff on the gym floor. It's the easiest way to grow your business.
It is the easiest way, and it's also, in terms of your clients' results, it's the easiest way to get them to adhere to attendance. To come to those sessions when they're not solely relying on you, and you expose them to different things, and then they become integrated into the community, right? And when they're integrated into the community, that's where they get that belonging, and then it becomes a part of their life, and then you're winning when that can happen like that.
Yep.
This is the Group X podcast.
Hey, can you remember your first PT session? As in not you being a client, but you having a client, and the session that you ran through your client with?
Yeah, because for a long time I stayed as a gym floor instructor, because you got to still take, the people who had joined the gym, you got to take them through their sessions, right? And so that was, well, I did it through my studies, because I mean, I had that level of expectation, because I was like, I'm going to get a degree first before I hit the gym floor, right? And so I already wanted to really know what I was doing, but it really doesn't. I mean, you understand the fundamentals, but it doesn't come into play until you actually get real people, right?
Yes.
And so I remember for a long time just really thinking, am I doing this right? And that's why Gene was so pivotal, because you need you need to visually see it go down. You need to see the role models. And, within our clubs in New Zealand, the Les Mills clubs, they are big. And and we're always like blessed to have, and whether you're in Australia or wherever, we just have so many great people around us that you can, learn from. And if you're smart enough, you'll watch for the best.
Yep.
And you really just start to pay attention and then try to do that. I think I do remember it. And I remember that I had this, life is epiphanies, right? But there's certain moments where I remember, because I hadn't got the confidence. There's levels of confidence as you move through the industry. It's like, yes, I had the education, but I hadn't had the practical experience, right? And I remember standing in the women's gym, and because I was so shy, I was a shy girl before I entered the industry. And so that was even harder, because I knew what I wanted to do, but the antithesis of the way I was going to be failure. You can't survive like that. And I remember standing in the women's gym thinking, if you don't force yourself to go and talk to every single human being in this room, every hour of every day, you're going to fail. And that's what I said to myself. You are not going to make it. You have to do this.
Yeah.
And then that was like the deciding make or break moment to kind of force me to be that relationship builder, to get out of my comfort zone, to do that. And I stayed a gym instructor for a long time, but it really did benefit me in communication, personality, coming out of my shell and really starting to get to know people, so that when I did start my business, I was already like established as a figure.
Yep. I think that's the thing that I remember as well when I started doing PT back in 2003. Just because I'd done my certification didn't mean that people were going to come to me. You had to go out and sell yourself. You had to get out there on the gym floor. I remember walking up to people on a treadmill that were just standing there walking and going, hey, how are you? I'm Tony. What are you doing? And be so awkward, but at the same time, so good, because it was an icebreaker. Before I got into the industry, I'd got myself up to 140 kilos, and I was quite chunky. Yeah, I was a big boy, and lost a fair amount of weight. And I remember walking up to, this is a bad story, but I'm going to just share it anyway, walking up to a treadmill, and there was a guy that was massive, and I'm talking probably bigger than what I was. And I jumped on the treadmill next to him and started walking, and I just looked at him and he smiled, and I said, so you're fat? And the look on his face was like, holy shit. And I said, dude, and I'd had photos on my phone, and I actually said, don't worry, so was I. And it just broke the ice straight away. And he just looked at me and went, he said to me afterwards, I actually respect you for coming up and chatting to me. He said, because it takes a lot. He said, but I could have turned that into such a bad situation for you. And I said, yeah, you could have, but I was just trying to connect. He said, Tone, I actually appreciate that you did. And we formed a great friendship. I think I was training him for probably 6 months or so until he moved away. But it was that whole moment that I realized that I've got to approach people.
Yeah.
If I don't talk to people, just because I'm a personal trainer and I wear the shirt that says trainer, they're not going to come flocking to me. I can't sit back in the gym and just wait for people to rock up because, well, you're not going to make money that way, are you?
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be approachable. You've got to go out and sell yourself. And I think that's, as you touched on before, and we touched on, when you're teaching group exercise and you're in front of 30 or 40 people, there's your audience, there's your market, there's your marketing done for you. You're getting paid to market your own business. And I still, today, I don't know if it's still the same today, but I know that going back 6 years ago, at least, that it was that way, that personal trainers were like, oh, don't go and do group exercise.
Yeah, it's always the little bit of I think it's still here these days, that stigma when, it's two sides, right?
Yes.
And trying to get that unity together in the gym.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be two sides. We're all in this together. We're in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Whether they're coming in to do a group exercise class or whether they're doing one-on-one PT, as you said, if they're doing one-on-one PT, they can't do that 7 days a week because they can't afford that.
Yeah.
You can write them a program, and let's be honest, not many of them do it. There's the really dedicated ones that will, but if we can direct them into a group exercise class to help them with their fitness, Dick,
yes,
they've got you in there as well,
right? I still see it today. It's prevalent more than ever that you can write someone the program or whatever, but I have this long-standing group that I see 2 times a week. And it's the accountability. I mean, they can go do the workout or whatever, but it's like showing up knowing that other people are going to be there. It's the affordability. It's we know Styles is going to make us a great session. We know it's going to be fun, right? It's going to be hard, but it's going to be fun, and we'll feel better when we walk out of there. And it's the same with group fitness. Yeah. You can't beat the power of the group because even though they can't see you 5 times a week or whatever, you know that they're going to go in there and have that group experience, which is, it makes the workout so much more fun. And it's the same with personal training as well. They're coming for that relationship.
Yes. Yeah. On that, great segue into group exercise. How did you move from then PT across to group exercise? How did that opportunity come up, and how did that happen for you?
For me, it started with RPM, and I really just fell in love with that program, the cycling and the music. And so that was I was already established personal trainer, and then I just started with that. I was like, right, I'm going to learn this, and I want to do this one. And so that's where I started and learned the kind of basic skills, and then got my first class. And I remember the quality of the instructors is so amazing that it's like you gotta commit and do it if you're going to get a time. You have to fight for the time slots. And so I did the training, and Jean actually took the module training. It was hard. I don't know how many times we did track 5. Like I think I started on RPM 14.
Oh, wow.
So I've done it for so long, and I don't think I'll ever stop. I just love the program. I love the music. I love the ride. And so that was my first one that I integrated alongside personal training. Yep. And then I just I focused on that one until I finally got my first class. And I remember just spending hours in the studio trying to get a whole class under my belt, learning the songs. So that was like if I do this, it'll help me get into it. I liked it. It's going to be great for my business, but it also was just the perfect segue into the environment, into the team, into understanding what it was all about.
This is the Group X podcast.
If I can take you back before you walked into an RPM class, can you remember looking in and what you were thinking when
Yeah.
you saw an RPM class go on?
Yeah, because when I walked into Les Mills to get that job, I'd never seen it, right? And so when I saw the dark windows and, like back then it was like just like a disco ball with some lights off it, but an RPM logo on the thing. I was thinking, wow, what's that in there? And I'd look through the window and I was like, man, because group fitness was pumping then, and you'd have 100 people doing body attack on Monday night with, Bevan James Isles. And so it was just, you couldn't hide from it because you had to walk all the way along the back studio to the big studio to get to the gym floor in the old Christchurch Les Mills. And then it was just this massive array of like weight training equipment. So I was just like, my eyes were just like, wow, this is crazy, right? And so because I got to was on the gym floor and I got to just experience it looking, that it was just like, for me, music number one.
Yep.
And then putting that together with a workout that really was just like undescribable.
Okay.
I still remember my first RPM class and my, the first pump class. I could hardly walk for a week.
Yes.
What was that? And then I think I just started integrating it into my training as I'd go do Jen's pump class or do her cycle class, and then I'd go do my sessions. And admittedly, the environment just kind of lent itself to it because the personal trainers, quite a few of them were instructors.
Yeah.
So it kind of just lent itself to, that was the journey.
Yeah.
That was what we did there.
Yeah. Now you said RPM 14.
Yeah.
In track 5, can you remember what track it is? That's testing, isn't it?
I mean, I know that I'm pretty sure that the track 5 was "We Will Rock You," something like that.
Hello.
Yeah.
What a track.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that time, the drills were all around the track 5, so you did it like 20 times, right, to max out.
I remember
back in those days. So they'll still tell you this. They when they didn't launch RPM, when they had to launch it for the first time, they were like learning it in this like cupboard, right? Oh, and they still say to this day what they were doing before they.
I love that. That is that track 5. People. I don't know what release RPM we're on now because I haven't taught for the last 5 years, but back in the early stuff, those tracks were so rocking. That was just music that, for my era anyway, that you knew that you were just like, oh my God, this is absolutely brilliant. And it was either a skits mix or something like that was done that was just,
I know.
You've just made me realize that as soon as this hip is healed properly and I get on the bike, I'm going back to some of that old music to grab some of the old stuff and get in the garage and go, right, let's do this. Yeah. Let's.
And they're still doing a great job. I mean, RPMs to this day still has great music.
Yes. It does. Look, for me, some of it changed because some of the music, I can't listen to the radio anymore. I've turned into that old fuddy-duddy that I put the music on in the car and I'm like, oh no, I can't listen to that. I just haven't gelled with it. And some of the music is like that for me, but I can still see the workout is amazing and the music is amazing in all programs. But it's just, I think I've turned into my parents, haven't I?
Yeah.
I have. I've turned into them where they've gone, oh, Tony, I can't listen to your music. And I've turned into, oh, Leo, I can't listen to your music.
Well, there's so many varieties these days that, the familiarity of some of those classics are just...
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I'm enjoying as well, is some of the old classics that we're used to from the early 2000s are being redone now.
Yeah.
That are popping up on my Spotify Discover Weekly, which is, it's like, oh, how cool is this?
I know, right? They're bringing them back.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So earlier, the initial module training that you went through, I'm going to assume was completely different to what initial module training is today. Can you talk us through that experience for you and how that was for you?
I think it was so raw for me because, group fitness was so new. I mean, the key elements, some of the names have changed, but really at the heart of it, what we do hasn't changed. Right? What makes they understand what makes a great instructor. They had it all in the right place anyway. Now they've just evolved it. And I think more than anything, back in that day, connection was huge. right? We're such massive connectors to the music. And I think the biggest evolution has been in the coaching space,
Yeah.
really just adding the substance and the intelligence behind, this is what we're doing, how we do it, and why we do it.
Yep.
And really just, we've spent a long time, quite a few years now evolving in that space. Whereas fitness magic is now performance. Connection has, as firing back up its importance, I think, because we took such a coaching space that we do understand now through the advanced training that they've brought out. They want, they understand that it's a blend. You're not just doing one thing at one time, you're blending the key elements together, and that's what makes a great instructor. So really still teaching the basics, and then as you evolve out of the initial training, how do you get good at blending the key elements at one time to really create that experience for the people on the floor.
Now, I like the fact that you can see it, and I think a lot of us in the industry that have been around for a while, the evolution had to happen. Yep. And I think it's not only with group exercise as such, but the fitness industry. We've evolved. We've learnt more. We've understood more. We've studied more. There's more science behind what we're doing than ever before. And that, I think, is what's helped the program stay as relevant as they are. Whether it's a Les Mills program, whether it's a freestyle program, whether it's another program, whatever, as long as there's the science and the studies that have gone in behind it, where hopefully will continue to evolve. And that, I bring that back to the PT side of stuff as well. You look at some of the stuff that PTs are doing today compared to what we were doing back in 2000, the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, is so different. There's I look at some of the strength coaching stuff that I'm seeing online, and some of the guys that I used to do PT with back in the day, that it's just phenomenal. But it's also, you look at RPM as an example, or look at Attack as an example, how the programs were, to where they're at now. The journey of that program, the fitness level that it takes you to now is so different and so much more than we probably could have ever thought possible. I'm sure that Les Mills wouldn't have thought back then the program to be where they are today.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. That's why I'm still here doing what I do, because the amount of emphasis this company puts on evolving, the evolution to stay up with the trend, but still producing the best instructors in the world because of their intelligence and the key elements. Really like teaching people how to move properly, putting all the research, all of the, look at all of the journals, research articles that are being printed now, and they still were putting that behind their programs, which has given it even more depth and quality to what gets put out there. And then just the level of production that they, no one produces the production that Les Mills does.
No, it's so true.
You just can't you can't even compare it. And then you watch someone, who will be a different brand, just deliver a class, and then you turn on a Les Mills class and you're like, wow, it's just obvious.
Yeah, so true. Can you remember the first class you ever taught?
Yeah, it was so I taught RPM. And I was just like, how am I going to talk this whole? I just remember just being so gassed, because you're putting your physicality and then just having to talk at the same time. I was just like stunned.
Yep.
Like, wow. Oh. And I still remember though. And then my first pump class, I remember, because Gene Scott made me wear it was the era of the shorts and the bra.
Yep.
Obviously, that's not, I was a girl who grew up playing rugby, right? And I remember sitting on the steps going, just looking down, just knowing I had to get up on the thing in a little bit. And, she's got her shorts and her bra on. She's, come on, let's go. And I was just like, no. Feeling like, you are standing up there talking, to public naked.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, man.
The memories, hey?
I know. And then I still remember to this day the body attack with Lisa and Sue Ashton, where Lisa was like, you're wearing this at the filming. And I was like, what? She's like, you are. And I remember, because you get, you got told a week, quite a few, maybe 2 or 4 months out maybe. Yep. And I remember just being so stressed about We're there, and like nightmares, like, oh no.
I love that because I can only imagine what goes through your mind, or what any presenter back then. What was like, well, okay, well, I'm wearing that, right? I've got to make sure that I'm ripped. I've got to make sure that and that's the whole what we were back in those early days. That was so different to what it is now. And I suppose what do they call it, inclusivity or whatever they're talking these days. You can be.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you can be chubby. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. You can not looked ripped and shredded, like, with an inch of your life, like you're about to go on and do a bodybuilding competition. It's okay to showcase, you know what? Yeah, we're not the same, but we're on this journey with you together. Yeah. Compared to early days, I think it was very much, are you
the
ripped?
whole industry was like that, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah. It was. That's what I think I really remember back in 2003, 2004, is that there wasn't a personal trainer at my gym that wasn't ripped. And that sounds really bad to say when I reflect on that. I mean, yes, we were promoting what we were selling.
Yeah.
So you need to look the part in order to really get clients back then. It was very much, if you're not looking ripped, how are we going to do it?
Like err on that. I mean, I'm not like to the 100th degree where you should be, unhealthily, holding your body at this capacity, of ultimate athleticism, because it can't stay there.
Yes.
Or,
true.
It has to be periodized. Otherwise, just burn out. But I still believe that we should role model.
Yes.
Walk the walk, practice what we preach to a degree where we are, we are motivators. We're selling fitness and health.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I think it's just been drilled in. Right. And I wasn't like that at the start. I wasn't that way. I kind of morphed into myself over time. Yep. But people say, you're so lucky. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not lucky. Yeah. I really started somewhere, but you didn't see it.
Yep.
And then now it's a way of living. Right. Yep. And I try to remind people that I was like, I came from a childhood where we didn't know about food like that. We just ate basic, right? Yeah. And was it the best choices? Probably not. When you look back on it, and I remember thinking, wow, I really need to kind of get in shape a little bit more, but I didn't really know how. So there's so many, when I think about Les Mills and the impact that it's had on my life, I'm still here to this day because it's really given me so much as an individual, like confidence, morphing into, athletic, levels that I didn't know, to be challenged, to be around great people who, you either level up or you get left behind. And it's just constantly evolving. And then people who have become my family through that process. So I feel like you just, you take what you need and you let go what doesn't resonate or serve you. And you have to get good at that.
Yes.
And how can you serve other people along the way and offer so much value? I think that's really why I'm in the industry, because it gave me what I needed at a really pivotal time in my life. And then because I experienced that, and it's like you lose weight and then you're like, man, this has made me feel so great. How can I do this for other people? Yeah. And I think that's just been, the fitness industry, and Les Mills has been the vehicle for me to be able to give, to serve and contribute to something that's way bigger than myself.
Yeah.
This is the Group X podcast.
What programs are you trained in?
I have been trained in a lot. I mean, I've RPM, pump, sprint, trip, core, grit. In New Zealand, I was really a part of a great team of presenters and trainers, and I got to have the opportunity to train the first ever instructors for grit before it launched all over the country. Yeah. Same for CX Works or core when that happened. And so, for a long time, there wasn't new programs. So I got to be a part of the birth of those programs as they came out. as a trainer presenter. So attack. And so the cycle programs, body attack, body pump, core, I don't really teach grit so much. In the US, they kind of limit you down to programs.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's, most of them except for the dancing. Although I did used to teach body jam in Christchurch, believe it or not.
Excellent. So you can dance.
I don't know about now, but before when it wasn't like the dancey dance, it was like a little bit more exercise based. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Have you got a favourite?
Have I got? People ask this question all the time. I'm always gonna say body attack, but I do really like them for different reasons. Like I love the bike for, you just get a different type of workout on the bike without the impact.
Yep.
I love body attack and RPM because it challenges your fitness no matter how fit you are.
Yes.
And so you can be at your fittest of fittest and still have a great class, or you can be, at the start and still be, work your way into it. Body pump, I loved lifting weights. And so the endurance of pump was super appealing. I do love the new strength development that they're bringing into the market. I think that's a really awesome evolution. So I don't say I like to have a favorite. I really like them for different reasons.
Yeah. That's cool. I appreciate that. The opportunity to become a trainer presenter, how did that evolve for you? How did that opportunity come up?
Yeah. So when in New Zealand at the time, when I was in Christchurch, taking on the programs, I kind of took RPM and then I got pump and then I was doing jam. And then attack was last, believe it or not, my later program. And so you got to become a presenter at the workshop. And so I kind of just got myself to that place first and became a presenter for the workshop space. And then what I did was I didn't become a trainer for quite a long time. It was really hard to get on the team as a trainer.
Okay.
So I basically was like, I've learned all I can in Christchurch. There's no one really here to challenge me anymore, or I can learn on. And so I had the most pumping business, and I basically just said, stopped it, quit it, moved to Auckland where all of the program directors were, and started again. And then within a couple of, it didn't take me long, but I got my first group fitness manager role. I got offered a group fitness manager role when I was quite young, like when I was 23. And so then I based myself out in West Auckland and then continued to be a workshop presenter. And then eventually I became a trainer.
I'm going to touch on group fitness manager in a second, but I want to go down the path of masterclass filming. How did that opportunity pop up for you to then go from being presenter to, oi, can you get on this and do this for us?
Yeah. So, I feel like I've had a really blessed journey, but anyway, I had Lisa, I was covering a class in Auckland City one Sunday afternoon, and she popped up the stairs to come and have a look and started doing the class. And I was like, oh crap. Whoa. And anyway, she just kind of said, come and teach with me. And for a while I didn't, I was like, I was too shy. Yeah. And then she was just like, come on. And then she just basically insisted that I teach with her. So I went and started teaching with her. And then I just started learning off her when I got the opportunity to teach with her. And, that was the start of a, really long-term relationship of body attack. But, being able to be beside her, watch her do her craft. But I had a few other balls going on because I think before attack, I got pump.
Oh, wow.
I got to, basically I had to audition in front of Mike McSweeney in a class.
No pressure. None whatsoever.
In the middle. and I know the squat track, it was like overload squat track.
Yep.
And then he was like, all right, we'll give you a go. So I wasn't on the mic, but I got to shadow with Jeff and Mike.
Yep.
And so that was a cool opportunity. But then I got RPM. I don't think for a wee while I didn't get an opportunity in attack. I just got to be a part of the team and grow. And then I got my first shadow opportunity at like 54 or something like that.
Yep.
And then it just ended up being like every second one or whatever, because it was quite a huge team. So it was really just about being in Auckland, being at the as a presenter, but teaching in Auckland City and around the clubs, and then just going to their classes, learning, and then having that just those one or two opportunities, and then eventually, when it strikes the right chord with LMI and the teams that they choose. Yep. Whereas Lisa she was quite purposeful. She was like, learn these, do these, get your technique right, build that skill set. And then I had a few RPM opportunities along the way. But by that stage, I got into being a trainer, presenter, trainer. And so, I mean, it's been so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing career, and it's still going. Let's say that as well. You haven't stopped, so it's still punching through.
Yeah, it's just, I talk about it with my friend Mid, right? We're pretty close, and it always just comes down. We just love it. We don't have to be on the big stage.
Yeah.
I don't have to be on the big stage because I still honor the opportunities that have been given.
Yeah.
And we never took them for granted. And we were in a blessed era, right? Like you just had it was just an era, you had the mics and all of the PDs as they were. And then you've got like the Bevan James Ileses, and then, and you've got like Mid Thomas, and you've got Emma Barry, and you've got Susan Renata. I mean, the list goes on, Glenn, all the comp, Dan and Rach.
Yep. So
you just, when you got yourself into that environment, you could do nothing but level up if that was what you were into, right? And we just played hard, and you had to play hard to rise, because the talent was so amazing that if you weren't amazing, everybody just knew they had to be amazing to get to rise. Yep. But we made each other better.
Yes.
And that was the thing, is that we were good individually, but when we were together, we made each other greater. Yep. And it was just an era of that.
An amazing time to be part of the industry, and amazing for us as instructors over here in Aussie to watch it as well. We saw what you just explained. We saw that happening in the masterclass filmings. We saw that in each release that came out. That was just, and I'm not saying that it's not there now. It is still there now, but to see it, in those early days to flourish and be what it was. We saw the experience on your guys' faces.
Yeah.
We felt the energy that you guys were feeling. Not obviously not as to the nth degree that you guys were when you were there as a team and doing it all, but the passion, that drive, everything that we saw on those early release masterclass filmings. Is I think I'll speak for myself, is what made it for me. What made me go, this is what I want to be part of. I seriously want to be a part of this, because look at that.
Yeah, it was just so cool, wasn't it? It was just a vibe, and the Australians were just as great. You know what I mean? Like, but there was such a tight relationship. But I mean, there's so many amazing Australian presenters that we have so much respect for.
This is the Group X podcast.
Yep, true. I want to talk to you about your RPM masterclass filming debut. What release was it?
38, I believe. True Believer.
Oh, yes. Yep. Good track. Good release.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, RPM's so dear to my heart that was I think there was like 38, 41, 44, something like that, 40,
Yep.
one of those ones. But to do it with like Dan and Glenn and Sarah, some of the true greats of, our RPM cycling programs, that was just an honor to be there and do that. And, that RPM is special. Cycling classes are special. There's just something that you can do in that room. Whereas I know I can walk into an RPM room and you can create this special thing over the course of the ride. And you can pretty much guarantee that that's going to happen with the music and the movement and the workout. And so it's just I don't know. I think that's different to the other programs.
Yeah, totally. I know you can correct me if you think I'm wrong with this. And RPM to me is probably one of the harder programs. You're on a bike; they're not moving. Just their legs are moving. Yep, they're going to stand up. We're going to sit down. We're going to move our hands and whatever it may be. If you don't connect, that's an awkward class.
Yeah, really.
Get them, and it's not like you've got other stuff you can rely on. It's facial expressions. It's what you're saying. It's the motivational cues, everything that's coming out of you. To me, I always found it was a lot harder than some of the other programs. Now, don't get me wrong. When I taught pump, and you're standing in front of 40 or 50 people, that their facial expressions don't change because they're either grimacing on the inside or they're just going through it and focusing on, shit, am I doing this right? Because, oh, God, there's a mirror in front of me and I don't know if what I'm doing here is correct.
Yeah.
I always found RPM, while I enjoyed it and I'm a smart ass when I'm on a bike, and so I can get everybody in the room talking to each other. And one of my favorites was look at the person next to you and just say, is that all you got? They do it, and then there'd be that laughter of, oh shit, hang on, I shouldn't have said that. I don't even know you.
Yeah.
But it was a way to get them to connect with that kind of stuff. But I always found that RPM was, you could make or break when you walked into a room.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the energy. Yep. And you can, I tested it sometimes, walk into a room, even for pump, walk into a room and don't have any expression on your face. Just walk in, walk up to the stage, get your stuff ready, do whatever you're doing. No, make any eye contact with anybody. And you can guarantee it's going to be shit because you haven't had energy when you've walked in. Those people in that room have seen you walk in and be like, oh, cool, they're here. Yeah. Amy's here. Great. Yeah. But if Amy's walked in and has dead fish face, pan face going, no, I'm not. Okay, we're here. Gonna get through it. They pick up on that straight away. One of the best things I used to love doing was,
you can't hide in an RPM class.
Standing at the door and greeting people as they're walking in.
Yeah.
The first time I did it when we were living in Canberra, the entire atmosphere of that class changed. I greeted everybody as they walked in, gave them a high five, or some people I saw sneak past, I'd be like, oi, where think you're going?
Yeah.
Cycle's in here. Don't go over to pump. No, come on, you've got to get in my class. And it was creating that environment before the class had even started, making the music. Music was already playing as they walked in. So it was creating that environment.
Yeah.
So powerful and helped, in Canberra, it's, 3 degrees in the mornings in winter anyway. They've gotten up, they've got out of bed. They don't want to be there, but they're going because, well, shit, if I stay at home, I'm going to be cold anyway. I may as well come to the gym and get warm. Mm-hmm. So they're in. So it was a way to try and make them feel like they were part of something, because if you don't connect, there's 30 or 40 people at that time in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
No, that's going to be they're not coming back.
Yeah. You really have to kind of get to the heart of it I mean, I remember when I got my very first RPM class, my goal was to get a waiting list, right? Because that's what the guys did. And that was really just like the leveler was like, once I got my first waiting list and then people were, and you could sustain that, then you're kind of doing a good job with either, the music, the energy, the community. People don't want to miss out on that class. It's like what they talk about in connection, right? It's like when you can get those things going, then you're hitting the right spot.
This is the Group X podcast.
So which filming happened first?
I think that it was a Body Attack Shadow with Nathan Jones, like a 54-ish. It was like Pump and Attack quite close together. They were side by side for a while, and then RPM came a little bit later when I was
Yeah.
already kind of immersed in body attack.
So the first one you got to present on, not just shadow on?
Yeah, so RPM I presented all the time.
Yep.
And body attack, I think 58, I believe, was the interval track was one of my first ones that I actually talked on. I shadowed a couple before I got on the mic.
The mic, yep.
Yeah.
How did you feel going into masterclass filming? Was it a nerve-wracking experience, or were you like, nah, cool, man, I got this?
No, I think it's really a journey. It was a journey for me anyway. Everybody's different, but there's a level of there was a point in the time where I really needed to just believe in myself. And so for me to kind of get up and be on stage, it's a big experience. It's a vulnerable experience.
Yeah.
And so when you lack those certain skills, it actually prevents you from enjoying it because you're so worried. And so, back in those days, we didn't have external focuses. Let's focus on this and this, because the experience was a big experience, right? And you want everybody, it was like basically it's the pinnacle. You got to do it in that moment. You got to prepare for it, and then you've got one shot, right? And so when you think about it like that, and you're like, relatively young in the game, it can be really daunting, right? So preparation was key, but there was still always like this lack of belief. And so if you look at some of the earlier days, I didn't find myself at the start. And it wasn't till a point where Lisa said, Styles, what is the one thing that's going to make you great? And do that. So that, I don't want you to be like me. We want a team of unique individuals. So what is it that you're going to really just do great when people look at that's a Styles track, right? And so that was probably the best feedback.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, so what am I going to give to the world of attackers? What do I want? What do I do great? And how can I help them be great at that, right? And so that's really was the start of kind of pinpointing who I was. And then it channeled me to kind of get outside of myself, build the confidence. And then really it was like, just be a little bit of a beast, right? And coach the house down. That was my skill set was, I'm a coach. I know how to take something and make it simple. That was what I did great. And so I was like, how can I take this track? And when an instructor watches, they're like, I can do that like that.
Yeah.
And that's
really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. That's grabbed my mind. That's grabbed my attention. Not saying anything else we've discussed hasn't, but that's really made my mind tick and go, you know what? That's instructors listening, hone in on that. Yeah. That's huge. It's what can you do different to make you stand out, but also make an impact for those that are in front of you.
Yeah. And it might be just like out of the key elements, what's your strength, and double down on it. We're so worried about what we don't do great.
Yeah.
And we waste all this energy trying, and of course over time you're going to get that great, but we don't double down on what we're great at.
Yeah.
And make that continue to pop. And then we just like lack this like, just bring yourself to the table and be a normal person, right? Like everybody wants to connect and be a human and, have fun. We want people, I mean, it's hard to work out, right? So we don't want to be like sterile. Yep. We want to make it an experience that is somewhat fun and not so serious really, because it's just fitness in the end. And what's going to help you grow, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean this with all of the respect in the world when I say this. We don't want another 1,000 Amy's out there. We want unique individuals. We want them to take away what you're able to deliver and give us in those masterclass filmings, and what the team still do now, but throw your flair onto it and be uniquely you when you're teaching a class.
Yeah. And I feel like my experience in the US is as a trainer going around the country, is there's just such a lack of confidence these days, because it's like you want to do this thing and yeah, you want to get good at it, but perfection's not going to happen tomorrow, and it's probably never going to happen.
Yep.
That's okay. And to remind people that this is about getting people moving. So why are you here? We're here to help people be healthier within the community or want to make exercise a part of their life. So yes, you're going to learn this skill set, but there's a bigger thing here.
Yeah.
And don't lose sight of that when you get into the process. And so I feel like, the 2 days of training is like, yeah, you're okay. You got this. Like, just keep trying. It doesn't have to, if you make a mistake, that's okay.
Yep.
And that there's just a lack of, or just a reminder to just, help encourage people and to stay focused on how we're going to help people and be your best that day, because you're only as good as your last class, right? That's what I would say.
Oh, so true. So true. Yeah. So you're currently in the US.
Mm-hmm.
You're currently a trainer and presenter in the US, or trainer?
Yep. So I do. I train for RPM, body attack, a pump, and just done the strength and development. And then I do any presenting that they want. But US is big, so there's always opportunity to train more than New Zealand. At more module trainings, and then I've been helping out with their assessment team for TRIP.
Cool. Yep.
Yep.
Brilliant. Is there part of the role you're doing now that you enjoy more than others? I.e., do you prefer a trainer or do you prefer a presenter? I'll tell you what I think. I've known you for 57 minutes now. I think that from your PT background, the actual trainer side of things will probably sit more with you than being presenter. Presenter is like class teaching. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, presenter's fun stuff, right? Presenter's like just having fun with your team and getting up there and really celebrating the new release or things like that. Whereas, I like to, before I left New Zealand, I was training manager for New Zealand for 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, I mean, I had done different roles through the, 15 or so years that I was there.
Yep.
And, so Mid was my training manager, and then she was moving into club management. And then I was like, that would be the one last thing I'd want to do. That's it, right?
Yep.
And so I was fortunate enough to get the role. So I got to, have the opportunity to operate at a national level, be able to kind of recruit and train, New Zealand's top 1%, which was a privilege.
What an opportunity.
And then, be able to have that relationship with Les Mills International to kind of build our New Zealand team, bringing on the Ben Mains and the Aaron Moores and bringing them through to LMI. What a treat to be able to, have a team of Dr. Daves and Sarah Robinsons and Mid Thomases and, and so I had that opportunity to, one, thrive as a trainer, but then be able to coach and train, the top tier, as well as kind of build off filming.
I'm embarrassed. I should have done more homework. I should have gone and researched.
No. But that was my last 5 years before I left.
Yeah. I feel like I just jumped straight to the US then and didn't give us a bit more of a what you were doing in NZ.
So when I came back to the US, I came out of that role and kind of came back into the training presenting role alongside, building a club from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. So I got the opportunity to go around America and do the trainings and see what was happening on this side of the world and be a part of this team. And
that'd be huge because the States is massive, absolutely massive. There's I can only, I've never been, but I'd love to go over there one day. But I know from industry knowledge and that kind of stuff, there are so many health clubs in the States.
Yeah, it's mind blowing to be so close to the source and then come here. I mean, the team here is brilliant. The totally excellent in the way that they operate here in America. So that's been really cool to kind of just come back into the team side and be like a player again.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the Group X podcast.
Cool. I want to touch on, as I said, group fitness management, if we can. Take you back to New Zealand. Which club were you group fitness manager for?
I was group fitness manager for Les Mills New Lynn.
Okay.
So when I went to Auckland, I decided I wanted to go out west because I liked the community.
Yep.
It had a really awesome community feel. And so I based myself there. It's only like 15 minutes out of Auckland City. And then, eventually I worked my way into classes into the big stage of, Studio One, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but I group fitness managed for quite a long time there under a really awesome club manager, Jackie Griffin. She really, ran a tight ship. And so it was good to kind of learn those skills as well. I was young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So group fitness management style, I suppose, or was there something about that role that captivated you or that you enjoyed more than others in that role? That makes sense?
It was more about like where I was, I had like a thriving business in Christchurch, and then I just stopped and went, took a risk and went to Auckland where, all of the program directors were, and it was like I started personal training again, and then I got offered this opportunity, and it was kind of like, well, I can gain more skills.
Yep.
Be a different kind of player within the club and get that kind of manager experience and be able to grow a team or look after a team doing what I loved anyway. So it was kind of just like a natural progression. So I just took it as an opportunity to learn something different within the industry. Yeah.
Was there something about the role that really stood out or appealed to you more than anything else?
More just growth, anywhere I can offer someone to really just like be able to grow a team and then, be responsible for a team of like 30 to, 40 people who are on the timetable, and then learn all those skills to kind of be responsible for group fitness, which was like so important within the, so valued group fitness, at a Les Mills club. It's like, it's the driving force of the club.
Yeah.
So to get the opportunity to gather those skills and then, recruit, train, timetable, all of those things, it was a kind of obvious step, I guess.
One of the things I loved in my time as Group X manager in North Sydney was the different personalities of the team.
Yeah.
And managing those personalities. Let's be realistic. Group X instructors are flamboyant. They have their own unique style, their own personality. And as you said, when you have a team of 30 or 40 of them, oh my goodness, there's conflict. There's a whole lot of different stuff going on. There's the Pavarottis or the show ponies that are, it's all about me. Then you got the new ones that are coming through that are very shy, that don't know how to do it or don't know how to deal with certain things. I love that aspect of Group X management because it tested me as an individual. As you're saying, you're learning all those skills. It was one side of it that I think I found myself, as in I got to know more about me because I hadn't dealt with any of that stuff before. I had to learn how to deal with an instructor that had been around for 15 years that thought they knew it all, that when I come in to assess them, I'm like, who the bloody hell are you? Dude, you've been here for 3 seconds. You're going to assess me on my class? Mm-hmm. Like having that conversation with them put me out of my comfort zone, but also taking a new instructor under your wing and sort of go, okay, cool. You know what? I'm going to introduce you to these guys and I'm going to get you to work with them. And that whole process that Group X management, I believe, we need to focus on more. Yeah. And I say that those that have listened to a few more of the episodes will understand it's a passion for mine to get group exercise known more, get the understanding on the power that group exercise has to lift up. A lot of the clubs in Australia, while they run Group X, don't run it well. And I believe that starts from Group X management, start having that person that's in charge to really know what they're doing. It's not just about finding covers, updating a timetable, doing the page. You know, that 5% stuff is stuff that should almost be automated. It's the having the conversations and getting the team ready for releases, or getting them, you know, together for training, or going in and just watching 5 minutes of someone's class and being able to give them some feedback. You know, you don't need to critique them on absolutely everything.
No, it's about it's about them being seen, and you creating the pathways and the avenues for them to get feedback, right? And I think that's one of I mean, I got to be under Mid Thomas, and so I always was, you know, she really just was so great at looking after our hearts and making sure that we were valued and heard, and so I learned a lot about her communication style, because she's always she's quite grounded. And so sometimes when you're young in the game, it's about finding that emotional, you know, balance where you can't come in too hot, but you got to learn that as well, because different personalities will trigger you, and they'll be harder to find a common ground with. And so that's one part of managing people and growing into that space. As a training manager, I think one of the things I loved the most was creating the pathways for coaching and feedback to happen, so that the growth happened, but not only within the team, on a national level, at club level. So creating these pathways where, you know, club level instructors who were involved in workshops got to be a part of our coaching growth pathway. But then what that did was it really lifted and elevated the quality of instructors nationally through the clubs. But then it kind of fed the cycle of, you know, the people coming into, you know, trainer presenter roles. And as an instructor in a club, you're like, you can see it. It's like, well, I want to get there.
Yeah.
You know? And so it was, what's the pathway? How do you provide the feedback and the coaching from, you know, people who are great already in there? And then what does that look like? And I think that's one of the things I was proud of when I walked away as a training manager, that, you know, there were some cool things created and systems that really worked for people to get better.
Yeah. Hey, a question that's just popped in my head, and normally I run through a list of stuff that I've got, but I want to throw this out there and answer it if you want. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah.
How do we get more instructors into our industry?
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, we think we're doing this Les Mills recruit drive now here, and they've just done one in the UK, I think, or Sweden, and America's one is off the ground right now, and so we're on to our like a boot camp, right?
Yep.
And so they've really been going through these processes. So we need to do this better.
Yeah.
So that our group fitness stays strong through the clubs. But so one thing that the US team's done really well is leverage the Les Mills qualifications now that are out, and they've used that as a pathway to really deliver some great feedback to, you know, because you'll see in Australia, there's not, and America here, there's not always a group fitness manager.
Yeah.
Right. So New Zealand's totally different. They've got these pivotal group fitness managers that are taking care of these teams. But if you go to different countries, it's not always like that. So when they go to the training, they're not going back to a process.
Yes.
You know, they're on their own a lot.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's two sides to that. We need to get people into the training, but we need to get better at supporting them post-training so that they actually continue the journey. And then we need like pivotal people, you know, looking for the talent that's already within the clubs, I think, and having a better onboarding system so that we can continue to feed it and not just think, oh man, we haven't got enough instructors.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It's not. I think there's a step behind, as you sort of alluded to. Then it's not so much finding the instructors, but it's making sure the process is right. So when they come through, they've got something to follow, and we're onboarding them and we're putting them through that whole process correctly. I mean, yes, there is an issue with finding instructors. I think that's going to be around for a while, and I think the pandemic here, especially in Australia, impacted that in a big way.
Yeah.
Clubs in lockdown, clubs not doing stuff, instructors not earning money. Oh,
Yeah.
I've got to go and do something different. I can't do this full time anymore. I don't want to do it full time anymore. I need to make sure that, God forbid, if something like this happens again, I've got secure income coming through. But I think people's passions sort of changed a little bit during that. So we need to make sure that, as we're saying, that the process, once we've got an instructor on board, I think the process needs to be spot on to make sure that we keep them in.
Yeah.
There's the quarterly workshops. There's a reason for them to go, and the why can't be just Les Mills why, as in, hey, we've got new release here. You've got to come and learn this.
Yeah.
It needs to be the instructor's why. What is the instructor's why? Why should they come and learn that new stuff? Why do they want to come and go through this type of stuff? Have we as an industry lost our instructor's why? Have we forgotten what it was?
Yeah.
Clubs are open again. Quick, you guys get back in here. We need to get business happening again.
Yeah.
As an instructor, why do I want to teach this? Why do I still want to keep doing this? I think the instructors need to find that, but I think also as an industry, we need to be able to tap back into that so that flows on to participants that are in our classes turning around and going, I want to do what she does.
Yeah.
That's obviously that's where I started. I started in that RPM studio looking up at the trainers that were there going, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And I don't know whether anyone that's listening, please jump out and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm happy for people to get in touch and say, Tone, no, you're wrong. I think that's missing these days. I think there's something there that instructors are going through the motions and they're wanting to be there, but they're not throwing it out there and like what we saw in the early 2000s. And I refer back to that only because when I started, but I don't think that passion that we're seeing or we saw then is as prevalent to instructors these days.
Yeah.
And I could be completely wrong. I'm happy to be told that I'm wrong.
I think there's pockets of demographics or, wherever, the pandemic maybe hit and took some of that out. But I think there's a lot of moving parts to the barriers, and it's really about understanding what are the barriers to the journey. Yeah. And I know that Les Mills US have been really trying to dig deep to try, it's like the cost of the training, the learning, what's the journey like, can we get them there a little bit smoother? What is like, what processes are tripping them up, and then what support do they have post that? So as a team, we've been trying to kind of come up with, can some of the trainers be on hand for 30-minute coaching calls for people who don't pass their first one? Can we be, when the clubs don't have a strong system in place with coaching and support, group fitness specific, can the team be leveraged to that partner, Les Mills partner, to support a little bit more? So they're really trying to, dig deep, because in America, Les Mills isn't as a bigger demand, a part of the pie as what maybe Australia and New Zealand are. Some people haven't really never heard of Les Mills, right?
Yeah.
And so there'll be like certain chains where it's strong, but we haven't penetrated the market the way we want to. And so how do we do that and make it look exciting? And I think Les Mills are doing a really great job of that, evolving with their products and what they're doing with Les Mills Plus, with that really creating that market. But I do agree that, we want to make sure that, when people see the class, they think, oh man, that's really cool. And I think it comes down to the culture of the club a lot. Does the club really appreciate group fitness? Is it supported? How can the team create this culture and this team? So how can they come together to make Les Mills great? The program's great, right? And I feel like when it lacks that culture and that, importance, then the instructor's kind of lifeline dies a little as well, right? And also it ebbs and flows with with life, but I feel like it needs to be united.
This is the Group X podcast.
100%. That's what you've just tapped on. Then is the main reason I started this podcast and started this Group X, was to get Group X, get the power of group exercise spoken about more, get clubs to realize the power that it actually has. I mean, if you're running Group X in your gym and Group X isn't working, don't cancel it. Work on why it's not working.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not working, it's shit. Instructors, go back to the root of the cause. Don't
Yeah.
just go, oh, yeah, no, that's a cost now. That's a cost center. We're going to get rid of it. No. Hang on a second. Pull it back to the root of what's going on. Assess everything that's going on there and fix what's not working. If group exercise,
that conversation, right? It's always that conversation of really trying to fight for the, the group fitness as a retention tool for the club. And when that power, or when that's not honored, that's where sometimes the struggle is. It's like,
yeah,
we can have like 30 people on that floor for 1 hour, and they'll keep coming back, and they'll stay a member longer. And it's really just like, when you're outside of, when you're in different chains that don't maybe believe in that, that's where it becomes hard, I think, for some clubs.
Yeah. When people tell me the group exercise doesn't work, I laugh. What's not working is somewhere along that process, somewhere along that chain of what it isn't working. Now, whether that be an instructor who's just lost their spark, whether it be a Group X manager that's just going, oh, whatever, yeah, I'm here to get paid, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
And it goes back up the chain even higher to a club owner and a club manager who, oh, well, that just goes on in there. Yeah, okay, whatever. It cost me X amount of money a month to run. I don't see it as a retention tool.
Yeah.
It's the biggest retention tool you've got.
Yeah.
How many people can you service in a 1 hour spot for maybe $60 or $70?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Why wouldn't you? Okay, oh no, I'm going to go and spend 15 grand or whatever it is on a treadmill. Probably even more than that. I have no idea how much it costs. Yeah, that one person can probably run on for 40 minutes.
Yep.
What?
I think that's one thing we're proud of at our club that we built here in Peoria, as we made group fitness the star. The studios were the star of the club. And, some people had never seen that before, right? Like a studio that just had a great virtual experience, that it had an experience where the sound was great, the lighting, it was a thing, it was an experience. And, that really was driven home from being, brought up in the clubs in New Zealand, and how much Philip and Jackie wanted that their group experience to be an experience, and the studios to be an experience. And so we brought that to our club, and just watching people see that for the first time, like a trip studio, or like a nice, set of pump bars with sound, and it doesn't take much to make it great.
Yeah. You're right there with that. And I'd say a lot of the clubs in Australia, God, there's going to be people that are pissed off with me saying this, but I don't care. There's a lot of clubs in Australia that are bland. The group fitness space is bland. It's not appealing. It's a room. It's got mirrors over there. Yeah, whatever. There's nothing in it. The sound system is mid-range. There's no high-end. There's no bass. it's lacking so much. Yeah, an instructor can only do so much. A program can only do so much. You've got to have those other aspects, those other, 30, 40%, whatever it is, which is the environment when you walk in.
Yeah.
Needs to be spot on, because if it's not, where's the experience for your member?
Yeah. And I think that's just really the value, what does that particular club, how do they place group fitness on their value ladder, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm seeing.
That's always the battle, is to just try and.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of stuff on social media these days, club design, and there's lighting, there's everything else on the gym floor, and it's all looking fantastic. But then you walk over to the group exercise room.
And it's empty.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, yep, wow. It's a dark room, great, and they've got as I said before, a disco ball or something on the roof, and there's a few coloured lights, but where's the atmosphere?
Yeah.
The atmosphere happens when you're actually in there and the group is going, but where's the appeal to walk into that room? I think some of these designers that are out there that are doing great stuff on the gym floor,
Mm-hmm.
guys, we need you to come in and do something for our Group X studios as well. Make this a destination, make this a place that is so different that people want to go into
Yeah.
before the class, before the instructor. Oh my God, I want to go into that room. I want to see what it is.
Yeah.
I'm in the room, then bring the experience of the class, the presenter, the music, the everything else on top.
Yeah.
Then could you imagine it's just going to.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you make it, you add virtual to that so you can use the real estate while there's no live classes on, but people can go on and just, we know the power of virtual for people to see the product, try it, and then, eventually merge into a live class.
Yep. Hey, in the States is what I class as simulclass is are clubs streaming their classes so that people at home can still participate. As an example, I can't get to your class that you're teaching tonight at 5:30.
Yeah.
Not because we're doing a podcast, but because other stuff is on. So I can't get to your class. You're still able to get there and teach, but I can't because my daughter's sick. Are clubs in the US streaming it online through a portal that I can log in from my gym to actually be able to do it at home? Is that something that's happening?
They really couldn't get over the music licensing constraints in terms of Les Mills products, right? Yep. So that was really the hard part when it came to when the pandemic hit. How do we get these classes out? But I do believe that, clubs that have other product, classes that they run, that they are doing some of that online stuff because they had to really gravitate to that through the pandemic. But in terms of Les Mills, I don't think that's really being able to kind of get across the line in terms of there's a few playlists and music that you can use.
Yep.
But they with the strictness of music licensing, it's a whole beast on its own.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, Les Mills Plus comes into play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I think it's something that I'm starting to hear clubs here in Australia start doing and streaming, and it's due to the licensing here in Australia. I think could be a little bit different to where it is in other countries.
Every country's different.
Yeah. No, but I think I think it's something that clubs, gyms should be offering. Not so much because of the pandemic or anything like that, but you can still service your members.
Yeah.
With them without them being able to come into a class. Okay, it's equipment based. So, but as an example for attack, if Leah's upstairs, she's sick, and I need to be home because Rach is out doing stuff, I could duck down to the garage, log in. It's my own portal that I've got. It's not like it's being broadcast everywhere. It's only through my login that I can get. I can jump on the TV and watch your class being done and still be able to participate. All there is for the gym is there's a couple of cameras up on the roof.
I know.
That is just streaming what's going on. Man, that'd be fantastic. I still feel like I'm part of it.
I think that's next level. Like I would think, man, if I could log on and go to Bevan's class on a Monday night, I'm sure they're going to get to that place eventually.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
And I think that's what they try to do with Les Mills Plus is, have the guys deliver different classes or whatever, the trainer series, things like that. So that's really started to open up that pathway. Yep. But yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I think that'd be, if I let's just say, make up a name here, Joe. I want to be able to do Joe's class because she's at the gym that I go to. Her class on Tuesday night is amazing.
Yeah.
I can't get there, but I can log in. Man, I'd be over the moon. You know what? Bugger. You know what? I'm work happens and shit. I can't get to the gym at that time.
Yeah.
But I can get home. I just can't get the extra 20 minutes to the gym. I can make it home in time. Fantastic. I'm still going to be a member of your gym. I'm going to pay you money because I know I can do that online.
Yeah.
And we're servicing everybody. We're able to tap in. They're not, it's a live class for your members. It's not something you're going to go and record and then play back later and stream and do that kind of stuff. But it's something that, cool, I can get in there to do that. Man, I'd be joining up straight away. That'd be a gym I'd want to go to, and all my favorite instructors.
Yeah.
The days that I can get to the gym, brilliant. But if I can't, then
I think that's definitely a good pathway for gyms to leverage for that attendance and that accessibility. I think even some of the software that clubs are using, they have the ability to, like if a trainer wanted to do a class, a
Yeah.
30-minute core session or whatever,
Yep.
that they can like house that somewhere,
Yep.
or it can be accessible somehow. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's got to be platforms out there. I mean, Christ, we went through a pandemic when
yeah,
we pivoted and everything was online.
yeah,
Everyone was doing stuff online. There's got to be stuff out there that people can tap into and use and
yeah.
make
I'm
the
sure
experience.
that is a big feature of gyms in the big cities and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. A couple more questions I want to throw at you. What's the best bit of advice you can give to an instructor that's looking to boost numbers in their class?
Connect, to really understand why people are coming. If you can have those outside conversations of like, why are you actually coming to the gym? What are you hoping to achieve? When you connect, you can have deeper, meaningful connections, or you can go, this is going to help you run faster in that 5K race, or whatever. So I think if they want to build the numbers, they have to become the community within their club, and be really, like I say it all the time, be genuinely interested in people and what they're doing and where they come from. And if you can build those relationships, then they just start to gravitate toward you, and you build your own community within a community. So I would ask the questions like, what are you doing to foster that? How are you including people in the experience? Are you just getting up and telling them what to do, or are you, creating like fun classes, theme classes every now and then, like going a little bit above and beyond? And then I always say, so build the community, know why people are coming and what it is that they, are hoping to achieve over time, and then continue to keep building that relationship. So continue to actively go and talk to people rather than turning up and then leaving.
Yep.
And it might not be at the class. There's certain moments that on the journey in and out of the gym where they can be those great touch points to start that. It doesn't necessarily always happen. So look for them and be open for them, and then create them at the same time. Include the class in the experience, and really know your market. Like, is it a 9 o'clock mums class, or is it a 5:30, whatever? Are you giving them what they want, right? Yeah. And then I always say over deliver, like every time. How can you be of value? What value can you give them every time you step into that class? How can you look, really just, that person needs that person, and really just looking at each individual, and not trying to do that in one track, but over the course of the hour, when you see moments of opportunity to connect and help someone, then, be genuine and do that. Right, instead of being so rigid in the choreography or stuck at a certain, like, I got to do A, B, C, D, then you're not really looking and seeing. And when you start to look and see and help people, and you be consistent with that, then generally the class gets better with you. 6 months down the track, you can say, wow, they've really grown. So I think connection and being a genuine human to human. Like, what do you need? Like, how can I help you? Is there anything, like, and when you start to open up those conversations, then people feel like you care. And really, we need that, because we're so lost in technology and things like that's the 1 hour where we can, like, just be people to people.
I think with that as well, don't just do it once, people. You can't just expect to rock up to a class and go, oh, Amy said I should try this. I'll try it once. Cool. That didn't work. You've got to do it. You've got to make it part of everything you're doing. Every time you're teaching a class, making sure you're doing it, because that's going to help you grow numbers. If numbers have dwindled down, look at why they've dwindled down. Try and find different ways, as you're saying, to connect to them and do what's got to be done to make sure that you can build those numbers back.
And it might not be the right program, but it's trial and error. Right program, right time, going and teaching with other teachers to expose yourself to different time slots, being consistent, in the way that you are with people, and then being really just like in terms of like, when someone says something and they're on their journey, if you know that they need the hard word, then you got to be okay to, when you built that relationship, to say, well, you need to be accountable for this.
Yep.
It can't just be this. And it's like, it's taking the holistic approach to the journey. It's not just your pump class, right? It's like, what is that person whole journey? And putting that in perspective for them. And then if you can offer them help, you can. Or it's just encouragement, like just keep showing up. I know it's tough. You won't see something at the start. And sometimes they just need to hear that.
Yes. So true. Yes.
Yeah. And be funny. Like just have fun. Like I think that's the most thing, is like just enjoy it. Yeah. Have a good time. And when you do that, people want to be there with you.
Yeah. Be there to be there.
Yeah. And be available, right? So I will sometimes, I'll teach at 5, but I'll be there at like 22:05. And the amount of people that come up early because they know that I'm just going to be there to hang out, they just start doing, and you notice it. Yeah. And so it's like they want to hang out with me. So I'm going to be there.
Yeah. Don't rock up 2 minutes before.
I mean, we all say it all the time, but or it's like, can you stay a little bit after?
Yeah.
Because they really do. I mean, you mean more to the people than you realize most of the time. And, that one conversation is just, sometimes people don't have anything else. That could be just a meaningful connection to them, to just feel like they're a part of something that's maybe, they're going back to their normal life and they don't feel whole there. Yeah. And when you have those, I don't know, I just feel like people are having a hard time. And when you can just hear, or just, you don't even have to say anything, but it's just like you let them speak or say what's on their mind or whatever. Yep. You don't have to fix it.
Even acknowledgement on looking at someone and getting their attention and their eye connection, giving them a smile. Man, you can change someone's day, completely from something as simple as that. So, as we know, we never know what's going on in someone else's life. You just never know what's happening. And if they are coming to your class and they're there for 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it may be, and you can connect with them, and you can stay back for 5 minutes after class and just go, hey, how's your day?
Yeah.
Their simple answer maybe, yeah, cool, I'm sweet, thanks. Or, yeah, it was great. Yeah. They might not want to open up and tell you their entire life story, but you connected with them. That was just enough for that person to go, yeah, that's cool, I'm coming back.
Yeah, just to feel acknowledged.
Maybe gave a shit. Maybe
one cool story I had was I had this group and we're going into the studio and there's this one lady in there. She was all by herself. And, as I was opening the doors and I saw her, I was like, I'm bringing her into our group. Yeah. I didn't say it, but then I just made her. I was like, just come with us. And so I was like, and because I knew that if she could join the group, that she would get what she was trying to achieve. Right. And it would help her. It would be like a community. She'd keep coming back. And for me, she was like, when I spoke to her, she was like, I either got up at 5 a.m. or I stay fat. Yeah. That was I only have this. And I love that because it's so true. She's like, I can't do it anywhere else. So it was like, I either stay fat or I get up.
Yep.
And I knew in that moment, if I got her in the group, and to this day, I think it's been a year, she's lost 50 pounds.
Awesome.
And she looks like half the person, but it's those opportunities where you're like, you know that we can help, and you reach out and you just make the connections for them. Then the community does the work.
If she ever listens to this, well done.
I know, right?
If you're listening, well done. Don't stop.
I either get up at 5 or I stay fat. I was just like, that's priceless. Brilliant. That's honesty right there.
I'm pretty much the same. I've got to get up at 5. I get up at 5, feed the dogs, but I get to the gym at 5:45 because family unit, that's my time. By the time I get home, the girls haven't gotten up. But if I don't get up at that time and train, I don't get an opportunity to train during the day because of an afternoon. Rach goes to CrossFit. She goes, then I've got to be home, look after Leah. I could be doing it at like 8 o'clock at night, But that's the last thing I want to do at 8 o'clock at night. If I can get up in the morning because I've fed the dogs,
Yeah.
all I need to do is stand in the kitchen for another 5 minutes until I'm wide awake. And then I'm like, right, let's go. It works. That's my time. And I love that, because if you don't get up, I'll stay fat.
Oh, man, I was the same, like when I had River, you go into, you're at the peak of your fitness, your career, and then you get pregnant, right? For the first time. And that's a humbler, because you don't know what it is. And then you get out the other side and River's here. I was just like, I was like, man, how am I going to get back there? But it was such an amazing experience, because it's like, you have so much more empathy for the people, the women who you see doing that. But it was the same thing. It's like, how do I make this work? And so you get, a sense of reality check, I guess. And it's like, I've got to get up early. I mean, I've got to fit in 20 minutes before or even 30 minutes just to get going. But it's like having those conversations with people. It's like, you just got to find somewhere where you can create some consistency. You might not like it, but it might be the only gap, or find someone to support you to have that. Otherwise, it's never going to be a priority. And sometimes you have to really lay it out for people. It's like, you can't get fit by accident. You can't get healthy by accident, right? You work and you earn money on purpose, because you've made it's a priority in your life. And until you make this lifestyle a priority, it's going to be, really tough road for you.
Yeah.
So
one of the biggest mistakes I made when I was PTing years ago was training with my clients as my session. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed training with my clients. My clients enjoyed me training with them. But the thing that I did wrong was make that my session. Now, it was never my session. It was my client's session. And it wasn't until I turned around to myself and said, right, at 2:00 every day, after lunch, before my school teachers came in for the sessions that I had with them at 3:30, that's my time to train. Now, I've got to go there. I've got to smash my stuff. I've got to do training that's for me, that's not for my clients. And I'm not bringing my clients onto my training session, or I'm not hijacking their training session. It wasn't until that started happening that I noticed my fitness, but my focus for what I was delivering to the people that were around me, whether that be group X classes or PT stuff, really changed.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love training with my clients. It was fantastic. The banter we'd have, and get off, it's my go. That stuff was all brilliant. And they're like, "Oh, come on, you can do more." And they're pushing me as much as I'm pushing them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really my session. It wasn't really their session. It was a mishmash. And once I changed it, that was when things really, I think my PT client base increased as well, because I was giving more to them instead of taking that. But there was that bit of a crossover there, which wasn't good.
Yeah, you can. It's too hard to do both.
Yeah. It was great though, because I was training 8 times a day.
You don't sustain that for so long too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, last question I want to throw at you, and it's double-sided sort of question.
Yeah.
What do you love and what do you hate about the fitness industry? And hate's probably a strong word. I just realized that as I said that. Maybe we'll go like and dislike.
Yeah. I think now what's prevalent, where, in my experiences is, and, maybe the trainers as well, is the access to all of the information and the amount of confusion that's causing, because we can read so much and so much is floating around, that I feel like it's made the journey so much harder for people, because they, unless you can simplify it and you have the understanding, then, what are you teaching?
Yep.
What principles are important for people on this journey? Because you'll get, people trying all of these things, fad diets, all these extreme training. So it's really, I feel like that's the challenging part of the industry, is to put that in perspective and understand what your principles are. And everybody's so different, to honor each person where they are in the journey. So I find that it's interesting because it provokes a lot of thought, but it also is creating a lot of confusion and a lot of unrealistic expectations on the consumer end. And then when you have to try to clear that up or untrain that thought pattern, that becomes really hard as a trainer, because it's like, I'm like, why are you doing 2 hours?
Yeah.
Tell me. Why? Who cares? You know, why are you eating at 2 p.m? Like, are you going to do that for the rest of your life? Yes. Yeah. If you want to do that for 6 weeks, go for it. But if you think that's going to keep you for longevity, then maybe you need a different approach. So it's trying to sit in that.
Yep. Yeah, I appreciate that.
People don't know, right? Well, I feel like there's a lot of, in America, it's people don't even know what good food is.
Yep.
They really don't, and they don't know what a portion size is. So I feel like the education on that level is missing, whereas I feel like New Zealand and Australia, we're a little bit more lifestyle. We're a little bit more educated around what great food looks like. Whereas because there's billions of people here and it's mass produced, they've really, the level of knowledge is limited sometimes. So it's trying to teach people the basics, but they want it tomorrow.
Yeah. Isn't that true?
And so they'll do these outrageous things, and I'm like, I'm almost like, are you fucking serious?
Yep.
I'll get to that point. I was like, it's just like, you can't do that forever.
Isn't there a tablet for that?
That's what it's like sometimes. It's like, so it's been interesting, the two different worlds, that side of the world to this side of the world. But that's the hardest part, but it's also been the biggest learning as well, to really just stick to the fundamentals. And what was the other part? What do I love?
Yeah.
People, the impact that we needed more than ever. The people we need to. We're not winning. And so it's so important that when we feel disheartened about what we do, to remember that we are needed and people need us to guide them, to be healthier, to feel better, to have those conversations. So I think, I'll always forever be grateful for the people that I've got to influence and touch and spend time with. And even if it's a 2-day training or a masterclass, there's so many opportunities for these conversations to be had.
Yep.
And that just fills my heart, like, to connect with people like that.
Love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending an hour and 45 minutes of your time coming to chat to me.
I know. Thank you for having me.
No, I've greatly appreciated getting to know you and sitting down having a chat. It's never. I don't ever want these to be like an interview style thing where I've got a list of questions and I'm 60 minutes reporter type garbage. That's not me and never will be. So I thank you for making this as relaxed and as comfortable for me as I hope I've done for you.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And if I can help out in any way in the future or whatever, I hope someone can get one thing, but also just celebrate each other. I'd love to, for everybody in this industry or everybody that's listening, I celebrate you and appreciate us being together on the journey.